Hey guys, Weep here. Welcome back to another video by Variety MMOs. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about 10 tips to help you get ahead in Sword of Legends Online. These tips are mostly picked up from issues people had leveling and ways to make the tutorial level 1 to 36 a little bit smoother and to help people get some small boosts to get over those XP walls that some people run into. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is learning your other mastery. So unfortunately, most games have an issue that there is too many DPS and not enough of the other class. Not always the case, but generally is. Fortunately, with Sword of Legends Online, all classes except for I believe it's the Blade Master class, has a DPS form and something else. For example, the Spearmaster can be a DPS or a tank. A Summoner can be a DPS or a healer. So they always have an off class which is, needed. So if most people learn their off class, you'll easily be able to swap to healer or to tank and go into dungeons and really speed up the queue for day-to-day content, because it's not only dungeons, it's hunts and various other things that you need tanks and healers for. The best thing of all is that your gear that is used for one of your specs is used for the other as well. It transforms, so you don't lose any bonuses, so it's absolutely a-okay to transfer over to another category and get your queue to pop faster. Next up is a little thing, and I can't actually show you on this character, unfortunately, but if you're on a healer, you can type in ACT, and what will happen is it'll make it that you can't heal targets unless you click on the box. So you have a healing box, you have 10 people in there. I believe it doesn't let you heal people if you click on them. You actually have to go to the box and click. Most people don't use it, but some people do like that game mode and dislike the game mode of fighting like this or fighting with the mouse on your screen by clicking control. Next up, let's talk about skills. So for some reason, this has happened multiple times to me and to other people, but the game doesn't offer you all your skills. Sometimes it offers you skill and it puts it here and it says, hey, use your skill, put it on your bar, but it doesn't seem to for some of the skills. So especially when you're at a high level, but you want to click K and go in here and make sure all your skills are on your bar. Because sometimes I've missed one or two really key abilities that chain together all my abilities and slowed my DPS down by huge amounts while doing questing. So make sure you regularly check in, make sure all this is activated, make sure all this is activated. If you click X on the side of the screen, it'll get rid of it really quickly, and if you forget about it, you're really going to hate yourself for it later. So another thing that I found really nice and helpful is when you're running around and doing questing, you're going to find a lot of other people questing because it's at the beginning of an MMO. So fortunately in Sword of Legends, there is tag testing. So it doesn't look like there's any mobs around here that I can actually do it on. However, when somebody else attacks, it's going to turn gray. That means somebody else has tagged it. However, when questing, all the mobs that are tagged by everybody apply towards your quest. So if you see somebody doing a group of 6 mobs, go over there and do an AoE and you'll get 6 mobs targeted really instantly. And you'll get your quest done really quickly. So it actually benefits you to help other people while questing, because generally they'll help you tag stuff as well. Okay, so when you get to, I believe it's roughly level 16, in Cloud Rise, you're going to get a quest for Gold of the Four Seas. And it's going to encourage you to go fishing. And at first glance, people are going to be like, cool, I can fish, I can get food, I can get better meals. True, but not so true. So the problem is that when you go and catch fish, it takes a lot of time, by the way. When you go and catch fish, this fish is used in higher level recipes that you can't actually afford yet. So you have a whole bunch of fish completely filling up your bag space that you can't do anything with. So when you're leveling up, completely skip the fishing section of the game, because it'll cost you time and it'll give you stuff that you can not yet use. As I mentioned in the top 10 tip video, make sure you're using the cold noodles, but do not focus on the fishing. Okay, so another important tip is the not doing things before you're asked. So let's have a look in the quest menu. Quest menu. So what's happened here is you'll have a lot of quests, and sometimes they'll get confusing. But let's have a look at... There is a Heavenly Ridge, here we go. Yumo City. So what's going to happen is you're going to get to a point and it's going to be like, hey, you can do the dungeon now. And people's first impression is like, hey, let's do the dungeon. Don't. If you're given a dungeon or you're given an item that seems like a quest item, don't use it or don't do it until you are told to. For example, this specific quest, you'll get it, then you need to run down here and do all the quests and then come back. And then if you do that, you'll have a quest in your cultivation menu asking you to do the dungeon as well. Tiny note, when you do that dungeon, it's going to say that it's not complete. You actually need to go into your cultivation menu and you need to accept it. Like, you need to click complete or it'll never tick off. And it'll really confuse you. Some people run it 3 or 4 times because they can't get it to complete. So make sure you go in there and hit complete. Okay, so another thing is don't waste gold. So when you're running around and killing mobs, like sometimes like world bosses, for example, if you go to the Highlands, there will be a world boss there, and it'll most likely kill you. Now, while you're leveling up and killing mobs, you don't have any durability loss, so that's a-okay. However, once you've reached level 37 as Student 1, you are going to have loss. So you need to make sure that you are not dying. So when you die, what's going to happen is you're going to have to repair. But not only that, you're sometimes going to get a menu that's like, do you want to revive instantly? It'll only cost you a couple of gold. Don't do it. It's not worth it. So as soon as you hit max level, you're going to be able to do, you're going to have about 200, 250 gold, assuming you did things kind of average. And for example, to buy a house, it's 200 gold instantly. And then you have stuff like you need to craft like weapons and stuff like this. As you can see, 50 gold, 29 gold. And then you have your recipes that you need to get. You need tons and tons of stuff for gold. Do not waste your gold because you will regret it, because you'll be unable to get your gear and other things. Of course, gold can be gotten from things like dailies and whatnot, but be sure that you do not waste your gold at all because it's super, super important. Now let's talk about leveling up your NPC merchant. So it doesn't appear that I have any on this character, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this later in the video. But when you do this dungeon here, it's going to, let's zoom in. So there's a dungeon here that you're going to be doing. And this dungeon is going to give you green tokens that you're going to get from the box. And these green tokens are used to level up your companion. So your companion would be located somewhere down here, companion recruitment. So as you can see, one of mine is level 40 and it has 352 attack. And the other one only has 141 attack. So when you're farming the dungeon, you're going to get these green tokens. You just go in here, hit upgrade, and it basically uses your points. Now she's level 22. So make sure that you're upgrading your companions because you can take them into the dungeon with you, which I'll talk about soon. Okay, so follow your cultivation quests. So a lot of people seem to think this is like nonsense and they don't follow them. However, that is a huge mistake. The reason being is because at the end of the game, not at the end of the game, correction, when you hit Student 1, which is level 36, full XP bar plus 1, what's going to happen is you're going to need to complete all of your tutorials in the tactical PvP section and in the PvE section. When you complete these, it's going to offer you a quest chain to go and get you a PvE set. And when you do the PvP section, it's going to offer you, it's going to give you a PvP set that's high enough to get you straight into PvP. So if you ignore these and you get to the end of the game, you're going to have to do them all anyway. So you might as well do them when you're leveling, get a little bit of extra gear, a little bit of extra money, XP, and whatnot. So always keep an eye on the PvE cultivation quests because they are especially important. When you do unlock them all, you'll get given a huge chain, you'll go and do them, and you should be good towards the end of the game. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about is spamming your dungeon. So let's teleport over there and then talk about it. So here we are at Frostbitten Path. So if you open up your map, it's going to be located in the Highlands, and it's going to be located over here. You're going to start doing this at about level 24-ish, and you're going to spam this dungeon to 26.5, maybe 27. So the reason you're doing this is there's a couple of reasons actually. So one is XP, so you don't run into XP walls. You can do other content as well, but they are side quests, and a lot of people don't like doing them. So it's just easier to grind the dungeon to get a bit of XP to get over those XP walls. Some of the XP walls are, I believe, 30 and 33 are the most painful. Another thing is your gear. So when you grind this dungeon, you're actually going to get this level 35 purple gear. And the best thing about this is that, for example, if you already have purple shoes, no, if you have a full purple outfit of these, it will not give you any more purple outfits. If you have, for example, low level jewelry and everything else is purple, it'll guarantee give you a piece of jewelry. So it makes it so you get your purple set relatively fast, and you can use this set all the way up until level 40 blues, which is almost up to end of the tutorial, aka level 37. So it really helps you level up over the next 10 levels. And since you get so powerful so quickly in this dungeon, when you come out the other end of it, you'll be clearing it much quicker than you would when you go in. Keep in mind that you can right click people's name and team up and invite them to your party to do this with. However, if you do that, it's going to increase the stats of the mobs inside. So let's go in and have a look. So you click on drill and you go enter instance. If you're the leader, you can add your minions. Now, my minions are kind of high, or at least one of them is. And the reason it's so high is because I spammed this very dungeon and got the tokens required to upgrade them. Unlike in the outside world, the minions are summoned permanently, and I would recommend putting them on DPS mode because on tank mode, they just don't really seem to do a lot. So I'm going to be a little more powerful than you will be. However, everybody should be able to do this relatively easy. So I'm going to keep dashing forward. Some classes can dash forward and make this a lot faster. Some classes cannot. So you can ignore some of the side mobs, but you need to be aware that to actually complete the dungeons, you have to defeat 100% worth of mobs. If you don't reach 100%, then you're going to not get the dungeon complete, and you literally won't be able to walk outside of the portal. Alright, so for me, I'm just going to run straight up to the boss. Hit him a couple of times. Even at a lower level, you're going to do a lot of damage to this guy. So you should be able to kill him relatively quickly. As you can see, he's really not that powerful. And boom, he's dead. So you're going to basically do this throughout the entire dungeon and open up your chests. Okay, so let's jump towards the end of the dungeon. Okay, so here we are towards the end of the dungeon. We're just kind of clearing up the mobs. So you'll notice that I am above 70%. I believe that's roughly the amount you need before you go into the final boss, otherwise you're not going to have enough. Make sure you clean them all up, otherwise they'll come in after you when you're in the boss, which is pretty annoying. But overall, they are pretty weak. Okay. So the boss is located up here. You can skip these ads if you choose. Sometimes you call them in, sometimes he shall not. You'll see that though, this boss is pretty weak himself. So I did this as a 2-man generally. I tried the dungeon as a 4 and 8-man. However, the problem was is that most people that joined the dungeon were people that didn't know how to DPS, so overall, it slowed it down because they scaled. If you're going to do this, I recommend doing this with another DPS, maybe one other person that you know is competent, and you should be able to get like 3 to 5 minute runs, and the XP is actually pretty good at about 10k XP per run. So my tip is that you do this about level 24 to 26.5 roughly, till you get your full armor set, your full purple, and then move on to do the rest of the quest. It'll save you hours and hours of gameplay, leveling up to 37 to get out of the tutorial. Okay, so that covers the 10 tips in today's video. Hopefully these tips help you level up and skip some of the downfalls and traps that other people have run into in Beta 2. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.